Hi, Beauty from Ashes. Hello, hello. Hope you guys are doing well. Y'all jump on, tag your teams. Hello. We're going to do a quick training. It is not going to be super lengthy. Let me get all of this sent in the chats. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hey, go sit in there real quick.
Hey.
Hey. Hi, guys. Hey, Michaela.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Tisa. Hello. Y'all get your notes out. Hey, no, you can say hi. Say hi real quick.
Hi.
Okay, go eat your chips.
What is this?
Hi, Shelby. It's my makeup. I have to put it up. Hello, hello. Hi, Angel. Hi. Hi, Stephanie. Good evening, you guys. All right. I know we've kind of got a lot going on. What is this? Hi, Linda. I know we've got a lot going on tonight. We've got our boot camp training here in a few minutes, and then we've got master class in an hour. So we've got a lot going on. So you can't say that you ain't got tools, because you got tools galore, at least tonight. So y'all jump on, make sure you tag your teams. We're going to talk about increasing... oh no, you're fine. We have a lot going on right now, Shelby. So we've got this training now. We've got boot camp training at 6 as well. And then we've got the summit at 7 Central Time. So we've got a lot. So if you're watching this, after this, go catch Bobby's replay and do her video on the boot camp on Facebook Lives. And then if you're on the master class, jump on that at 7 Central. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Ashley. Hi. So we are going to chat tonight about increasing your story views on Facebook and Instagram. But before I get into that, I want to give you guys just a little bit of like sharing my heart with you. I've done quite a few coaching calls this week, and the common theme that I hear is people saying that they're in like the winter blues or January blues or holiday blues. How many of you can feel like you sense that, whether you personally are feeling that way or you think your team is feeling that way? Hi, Amy. How many of you would say like, yeah, you feel that? It makes you just not want to get up, makes you not want to work your business. It maybe makes you not even want to go to your own job. For those of you who have 9-to-5s, it makes you not want to cook. You know, it's honestly, a lot of people, it's seasonal time, okay? The time of year, seasonal, some of it could be depression, but just the season that we are in, right? Okay, yes, some of you are like, yes, that is me. I sense it. Either you're feeling it or somebody else that you know is feeling that way. I want to encourage you that feelings change, okay? Sometimes we have to act ourselves into feelings, okay? Sometimes we have to put action. We may not wake up every day, every month, wanting to do whatever we need to accomplish, right? You may not want to work this business. You may not want to go to your job. You may not even want to get out of the house. Whatever it is a choice, okay? You are choosing to feel that way. My grandma always says, you put yourself in that attitude, whatever feeling, you're the only one that can get yourself out. So go do things that you enjoy. Go find enjoyment and what does bring you joy. Maybe it is spending time with grandbabies. Maybe it's spending time with family. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's a bath at nighttime. Maybe it's doing Facebook Lives. Maybe it's doing Reels, something that you enjoy. Maybe it's cooking. Go find something that you do enjoy and take some steps and some action, and then the rest may follow. Not every day, think about your marriage. Those of you that are married or in a relationship, not every day do you wake up saying, yes, I love this person, the best thing ever. Oh, I just want to spend all the time with you. You're the best thing. It doesn't, okay? That's just not reality. It is a choice. You have to choose to love that person every day, choose to spend time with them. Same thing in your business, in your life, whatever you're going through, it is a choice. You have to choose. So you can either choose to be stuck there or you can choose to move and get going. Because if you choose to stick and be stuck there, you're going to be lonely. You're going to be sad. You're going to feel abandoned. You're going to feel alone, all the things. But if you start taking the steps, and it's not saying that it's going to wake up one day and everything's going to be gone, but start finding something that you find joy in and day by day taking some steps, okay? So I hope that encourages you guys. I hope you guys can relate to that. It's just been a common theme with some conversations that I've had for the last few days. So hi, Heather. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Jordan.
Hi.
All right. Hello. Okay. We are going to talk quickly. Hi, Angela. Nope. You're going to go sit on the couch and eat your chips. And then you can say hi one more time. And then I'm almost done. Okay? Nope. Not right now. Okay. Hi, Brooke. Okay. So talk about that feeling and how to get out of it with your network. Yeah, because you never know who you can relate to, and you've got to be vulnerable with your network. So you just never know who you can connect with. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about increasing your views on Facebook and Instagram, okay? And these are stories. Some of you are still not living in your stories. There is power in your stories. That is where relationships are built. A post is not where relationships are built. A reel is not where relationships are built. A live and your stories are where relationships are built. That's where people get to know you. That's where people get to see a day in the life, how you are, how you interact, that your life's not picture perfect, that you don't have it all together, right? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Linda. Hi, Dulce. Hi, guys. So when you are doing stories, this is where money can be made. Okay. So many of you, I think, don't realize that. But stories is where a lot of the time I get a lot of my sales. That is where it can be made. So if you aren't using your stories, you're missing out. But the more that we can get your views up in your story, guess what? That normally means the more money that you're going to make. All right. When it comes to using your stories for this business. So often we do the basic strategy when it comes to reels and stories. Okay. We do a hook. You do some kind of story and then you offer them something, right? You hook them with a problem or a solution. You tell them the story of how you got there and then you offer a solution, right? We've seen that strategy over and over. It is still a great strategy, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. So that's the basic, right? You're going to hook somebody, you're going to give them a story, and you're going to offer a solution. But let's go a little bit deeper on that, okay? Hi, Brandy. Hi, Kathy. So the first thing that I want to say when it comes to increasing your story views is, number one, you need to do a story reset. You may choose one day, maybe it's like a Sunday or a Saturday or whatever day you choose, where you don't post anything for 24 hours. So that means once your stories, because you know your stories, they only last for 24 hours. Once it does that, once they run out, you leave it that way for at least 24 hours. So if your last one was at 11 p.m., you're not going to post anything until that next 11 p.m. is going to reset, and then you're going to leave it alone for 24 hours, okay? That, when you do that, for whatever reason, it starts to kickstart the algorithm, okay? So definitely do that at least once a week, some sort of story reset, okay? That is number one. That's going to help your views. Number two, you need to be engaging with people in your stories, okay? Because a lot of people, how many of you can say, a lot of people might watch my stories, but they're not saying anything, right? You can see that 50 people watched your story, or 100, or 200, 1,000, whatever, but maybe like 2 or 3 people interacted. Nobody said nothing. No one liked it. No one hearted it. No one laughed at it. No one sent an emoji. No one messaged you. They just watched it, okay? We don't want them to just watch it, okay? So what you need to do is at least once a week, if not once a day, okay? You need to, if you have your stories up, right? Let's say you've got 5 stories. You've got making a meal replacement shake, going to the gym, reading a book, doing a devotional, taking your kid to the school, okay? Whatever it is. That next day, okay, not that day, the next day, when your story's about to run out, right? After that 24 hours, it's almost there, maybe at like 23 hours, you're going to go to that last story, okay? That last story probably has the least amount of views, but it's because people sometimes don't go all the way through. But I want you to look at that last story. That is somebody that went through all of your stories and they have made it to the end of your story for that day. And it might say 50 people viewed it, 10 people, 100, 1,000, whatever. And I want you can click that story. And when you swipe up on Instagram, you can see who looked at your story. Does everyone know how to do that? Everyone know how to see who saw your story? Hopefully you do. But when you do that, I want you to reach out to those people. And I want you, he'll be here in just 1 second. Yeah, he'll be here in a second. You can't go by yourself. In just a second. Okay, in just 1 second. Okay? Everyone does? Okay? I want you to reach out to those people that watched that last story and say something like, hey, how are you? What's up? Did you have a good New Year's, New Christmas? You know, nothing about that they watched your story or anything. Like, just start interacting with those people because they are watching your stories. And when you interact with people and you engage, then they're going to follow suit and they're going to interact. Okay? So that means when you watch their stuff, you're going to love their stuff. You're going to heart their stuff. You're going to interact with their stuff more. But that is one way that you're going to start engaging with people that are in your stories. Okay? Then number 3, I want you to encourage reactions. Okay, that is the hearting, the loving, the laughing, the fire emojis, whatever. As you engage with people's stuff, they are more likely to engage. So if they see you laughing and commenting and hearting and interacting, they're more than likely gonna follow suit. As you love on people, people are gonna love on you back. But you've got to encourage that type of reaction. Is that making sense? Yeah? Hi, Haley. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Heather. Okay, so didn't think about it. Good. I'm glad y'all are having some like aha moments. All right. Now on Instagram, this is where I'm specifically talking, but they go hand in hand, just like Facebook. On Instagram, there are 2 different feeds, right? There's the horizontal feed. No, sorry, vertical feed. I can't speak. And horizontal. Right? The vertical is just you're scrolling Instagram, right? Or scrolling Facebook. That's vertical. The horizontal is the stuff at the top, right? That's the stories, the lives, the reels that you see at the very top. Does everyone understand what I mean when I say a vertical feed and a horizontal feed on Instagram and Facebook? So often when we look at the horizontal feed, we start at the top. Right? We started that first one. And then we do maybe 5 or 6 later. But you don't go all the way to the end. Right? That's what most people don't do. How many of you can say, oh yeah, I go all the way to the end. I keep scrolling. And I interact with people at the very end of my stories.
What is this?
It's my makeup. I would say most of us do not do that. You start at the first person and you just go through the stories that way. And you're going to the right instead of scrolling to the left to get to that person at the very end. I want you to start being intentional on searching for those people towards the end. Because when you are starting to interact with those people that are towards the end, it's going to start showing your stuff on their end more. The goal on Instagram and Facebook is to get yourself on that left side of most people's screens. You guys can think of your people that are always at the top, right? The people that you always see. It's because those are people that you want to see their content the most. Okay? So there are certain directors on my team. Addie, please stop. Hey, stop. Stop. There are people The people that you're seeing at the front, those are people that you consistently interact with. Well, you want to become that person for people's network so that when they open their app, the very first thing that they're seeing is you. But the only way that's going to happen is if you are scrolling to the left and interacting with those people that are all the way at the end on the right. Is that making sense? Because the further left that you get on people's stuff, the more views you're going to get because it's the very first thing that they're seeing. Okay? Now, how do we do this? How do we get more left at the top of people's things? Okay? Here's the first thing. The first thing is your percent viewed needs to increase. How do we do that? That means that more people are seeing it. The number of people that follow you is higher that see it. You know, like if you have 1,000 people and only 10 people see your stuff, that's not a very good percentage. We want that percentage to go up. We want it to be 500, at least half, whatever. Start getting those numbers up, okay? So an example would be that, hold on a second. Okay, we want people, this is a way to get the increase, okay? Here's a way to get that increase. The first thing is we want people to press the back button and rewatch. Okay, if at the top of your story, it's got like 5 stories, 12 stories, whatever. We want people to hit the left side of the screen to go back. Why? It tells the algorithm, oh, it was important enough that they had to go back and see what it was. They had to go back and reread it or go back and watch that again because it was funny, because it caught their attention, because it made them stop, whatever, okay? We need to get people in the habit of wanting to go back on our stories. This is makeup. We want people to go back on our stories and rewatch what they did, because when you rewatch, it tells the algorithm, oh, what she just watched, she wants to see more of that. Okay, so that's a way to get your increase, is by doing things that are going to help people click that back button. The second thing is holding. We want people to hold the screen. What does hold the screen do? It causes the algorithm once again to say, oh, she's stopping to read or stopping to look and see what is on the screen. And it gets in their attention. So it may be a 10-second clip, but at 5 seconds, they're holding it because they realize that their time's about to run out, but they want to see what's left on the screen. Okay? If you get people to hold, it is going to help increase your views. Your number of views are going to go up because it's spending time. It's going to show your algorithm and your stuff more because they are spending more time on your platform. Is that making sense? Everyone tracking? Hi, Robin. Hi, Kelly. Okay, so maybe they're going to have to read your screen. If you go look at my story today, I did an example of that. I had something about being pregnant at 7.5 weeks. And I wrote this paragraph because I know everyone wants to know. People are going to have to hold my screen in order to read what I wrote. So it's going to tell the algorithms. Yes, there's hold stickers. Yes, absolutely. Causing people. And maybe it's things that you put at the top, like important information in big capital letters. Today, mine said baby update. It could say something like stop and read, or what were some other ones? Important lesson, some kind of strong hook that gets people to stop. Okay? Or maybe they want to see what's in the background. They might want to see what Addie's doing in the background, or your spouse did a silly face in the background or something. Maybe you're wearing a certain shirt and they want to read what your shirt says. Something that gets people to hold. When people are holding or having to go back, that is going to get your views up. Okay? So again, how do we get this holding thing? You can use text with a strong hook and then maybe write a few little paragraphs or something that's going to take them longer than 10 seconds to read. Okay? And maybe you do this after a 24-hour reset. Okay, so after you've done that 24-hour, maybe that first thing that you post is something that's going to cause people to have to hold to read. Are you tracking? Okay. Another way that you could have getting people is by making a mistake on purpose, right? I've made the other day, and this one was not on purpose, but my words said that I was having a baby girl. Well, I don't know the gender. I said baby growing, but the caption said baby girl. I had so many people message me saying, did you just say baby girl? And I had to go back and listen to my story to make sure I didn't say that. So then I had to make a whole nother post that said, y'all, I do not know the gender. I swear I was saying baby growing, not baby girl, but the captions messed it up. Well, that made people go back to listen to what I said. It was a mistake that I accidentally made, but maybe you make a mistake on purpose that causes people to be like, wait, what? It's all about the way that you do these things, okay? Another thing is you caught that, see? But people all went back and were like, wait, what? What? Did she really say girl? Let me go see. It was crazy, okay? It was so funny. Hi, Greta. Another thing that you can do to make people hold the screen or have to go back is by doing or saying something controversial or something where somebody's in the background. People love to be like, wait, what was that? Let me go back and see what she said. Or what was her input on that? Okay. Some of these, again, can be accidental or on purpose. But you always have to look for those hooks to keep the people engaged. Okay. Now, let's go back to how we continue to get to the left of people's screen, okay? So another way is by weight, okay, on how to get to the left side of the feed, okay? What do I mean by that, okay? I mean, so many people think that by adding a poll or adding question boxes or adding emoji stickers or adding quizzes or whatever, or asking for shares or people saving, okay? That is not the weight of how you are viewed in front of people. That is not what gets you viewed in front of people. It's a great tool. It's a great asset, but that is not statistically the most important. Do you know what the most important thing is? You know, on the stories when you're watching, that button at the bottom that says send message, that is the most important. Not the hearts, not the emojis, not the polls, the send message. Because if you do a poll, okay, they say yes or no, but then what happens after that? If they answer a question in a question box, okay, they give your opinion, but then what's after that? The message, what does that do? Are you ready for this? This is like mind triggering. When you send a person a message or they send you a message, when you say things like, all right, tell me below, not a question box, send me a message below and tell me your thoughts on this. Yesterday, I did it on Addie with her sleep schedule. I said, y'all tell me below what your thoughts are on this. I had so many people messaging me and interacting me because when someone sends you a message, you get a notification, right? So then you see the notification on your phone, you're going to open the app again and you're going to see that notification. 9 out of 10 times when you get a notification and you respond back, you don't just get off the app, right? You go back and you start getting in the habit of scrolling, right? That's what happens when you send a message to somebody. They're gonna see your stuff again because they've gotten back on the app. Or again, if you just answer a question or you just put something in a poll, it's not that notification. You're not getting those notifications to get back on that. Isn't that crazy? All right. So you've got to be connecting with people. That is the most important. That is what Facebook and Instagram were created for, was for connection. So you need to be connecting with people. Okay. How do you get people to watch your story more? That is how. By the connection. And I would rather you have 3 great quality stories like I've been talking about than 12 that have nothing. Because if you have 3 great quality ones, your numbers are going to go way higher than if you have 12 that have no value, that are not going to get those views up. Does that make sense? So the more conversations that you have, the more money that you're going to earn and the more your views are going to get up. And that is why conversations in network marketing and in this business are so important. You've got to be strategic. So when you make these stories, you know, not all the time do I sit there and say, okay, how can I make this, you know, a story where I'm going to get a lot of views? Some of it's just a day in the life of me, right? Taking Addie to school, telling something dumb that happened, right? But there still needs to be some strategic parts in what you are doing, okay? I have given you so many examples tonight, right? I've talked about doing a story reset. I've talked about engaging with people in your stories, encouraging reactions, right? Because you're going to react, they're going to react. I've talked about the different types of feeds that there are and how you want to get to the left of most people's feed. So how do you do that? You keep scrolling to the right and interacting with those people, and then they're going to start seeing more of your stuff. We talked about how to get your views up so that you are at the left front of everyone's screens. We talked about how to get your percent up. We talked about how the back button, the hold button, how to get people to hold. I gave you tons of ideas of how to get people to hold the screen or go back. Make sure. And then we talked about the weight and how to get to the front and the left side of the feed. It's not by the polls and the quizzes and all of that. It's that send message button. So you need to constantly tell people, you know, let me know below, send me a message below. I want to hear from you, whatever, because again, that's going to notify you. So when you message them, they're going to get notified. They're going to pull up the app. They're going to start seeing your stuff more and more and more. Okay. So continue to have conversations, continue to do all of these things, and you will see an increase. You need to get in your stories. There is value in that. Okay. Well, you look beautiful. All right, you guys, I hope this was valuable. I learned a lot when I was getting these notes together and I was diving into some information, and I hope you guys do too. So we will talk to you guys later. Remember, Bobby just did a training on how to go live in the boot camp. Beautiful. We have the master class. You smell like Vicks Vapor Rub. Did you get your Vicks on? I smell it. And then we have the master class in about 30 minutes. All right. I'm so glad this was beneficial. I love you guys. And we will talk to y'all later. Say bye. Bye, y'all. See you later. She put concealer in the middle of her lips like I do. Mini me. Bye, y'all.